Hi, everyone. My name is Rod Graham, and I am your neighborhood sociologist with another episode of my Being series. And on this episode, I'm speaking with Charlotte D., who on social media goes by the feminine Housebunny. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about traditional lifestyles, masculinity, and femininity. And like most of my episodes, it's a combination of learning about the person. Charlotte is very interesting. And then also learning about their views. And so that's what we'll be doing here. So it'll be a mix of some silly questions to get to know Charlotte, and then also some more deep questions about her views on masculinity and femininity and traditional lifestyles. So first, Charlotte, thank you for spending some time with me. Yes, I'm looking forward to this. So what did you have for dinner last night?
I had lamb with salad. I'm dieting at the moment. So I just char grilled some lamb and made a nice Greek salad. It was delicious.
Okay, so this sounds like a low carb, keto, paleo type thing going on.
Yeah, trying to cut out the carbs. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's hard. I actually had a salad for lunch, but it's very difficult. Yeah. But to me, actually, it's easier to do that than to go full vegan. It's like you're cutting out so much when you go vegan. Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah. So, well, good luck with that. I mean, it works. I can tell you it works. 2 years ago, I said, all right, I'm done with the bread, the pasta, the rice, all that stuff. And I did lose weight, and I felt much healthier. My skin was better. I just felt like I had more energy. So if you can stick to it, I mean, it's going to be good for you.
Fingers crossed. I'm Italian of Italian descent, so it's going to be so hard with the pasta and bread. I take my hat off to you. Yeah, it is hardcore. I'm looking into gluten-free options at the moment, so I don't feel so heavy, because I can't not live without pasta. I have to have pasta in my life.
Okay, so it's not it's not no carb, it's low carb is what you're looking at. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I tried pasta made from chickpeas and cauliflower, like all that stuff. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Good on you for that. Now, what is one event that you wouldn't mind sharing in your life that you think defines you? What makes Charlotte Charlotte?
That defines me. It was actually when I was about 5, with my dad, who I'm extremely close to, my father, and he took me to work. I can't remember. I think I was off school for whatever reason, and he took me to work, and I sat in the front with him, and he put me on his lap, and he let me drive a little bit, as dads do. And we spent the whole day together, and he taught me a lot about life, as much as I could process it at 5. So little tips and tricks that, as I think maybe many fathers do with their daughters, of, to always be kind, but to never be a pushover, and to always, oddly, which was odd really, but to always be pretty and make myself look pretty. This was actually as I was growing up more as well, but always to take care of myself and have self-respect. So I think that moment definitely helped shape who I am.
Okay. Now, you do know that if that happened in 2022, your father would be arrested, because you can't do that. You can't put a child in your lap now. That's that's illegal. Right?
I know.
But things were different back then. Certainly when I was growing up, kids used to be able to just sit, which I think is good that we have these laws now. But I would sit in the back seat, no seatbelt, nothing, just playing in the back seat, while mom was driving or pops was driving. So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I think I tend to look at finishing school for me. It was like a big deal. Like, it validated all that time I spent and money. I'm not sure how it is in the UK, but sometimes we in the United States, we take out a massive amount of money to fund our education. Yeah. Oh, it's the same. It's the same there.
Yes. Yeah. For university, not for college, for university.
Okay. But what's the
Um,
difference between college and university?
a big difference. So you don't really need qualifications to get into a college.
Oh,
You can leave school at 16, 18, and you can go on to a college and study pretty much anything, more trades. College is more trade specific,
mhm.
whereas university, it's like you go and start study English literature or history or anything, sociology, psychology, everything, and you'd have to pay. So
Okay, I see. Huh. All right, so I guess it's not the same system here, but yeah, it's unfortunate that college is so expensive these days. I guess on both sides of the pond, right? So
yeah, yes,
okay, so we've quickly learned a little bit about you, and I think that's important, right? I mean,
yeah,
people who come across this, they want to know that you're talking to a real human being here, and this person has a life outside of their social and cultural views. And so I love to do that. So I think later I'll even ask you about your hobbies. So I mean, but we'll hold off on that. Let's do a little back and forth.
cool.
So, what in your view does it mean to be red pilled?
Good question. Red pilled for me personally, and I think it means different things for lots of different people, a lot of my friends.
Mhm.
There's a feminist connotation to it, and then kind of, I know people make reference to the Matrix and stuff. For me, it's having my eyes open to the world and to what's going on, and to both sides of the coin. So, for example, we did say that I didn't want to touch on feminism, but just to, briefly. So
Okay.
to have your eyes open to the say equality for both genders. So red pilled, yeah, for me it's being aware. Now that's the first word that I would say, is extremely aware, eyes open, my head's not in the sand, my head is completely out of the sand and very much looking everywhere.
Okay. But
Yeah.
aware of what? I want to be aware too. So I want to know what's going on, but aware of what?
Well, I obviously study the relationships, humans. I'm not, I've always said I'm not very political, but I guess I am in a way. I think obviously politics, gender equality, the definitely the inequality of the genders, and I am a believer that uh, that unfortunately now women have more rights than men, and there is no balance in that, and so men definitely fall by the wayside in family courts and yeah, in like many areas. So we kind of label, I say we, people that I know, we label ourselves red pill because we are tapping into that, whereas I think a lot of my gender would rather bury their head about certain subjects because it benefits them. So being red pilled, again, it comes back to having your eyes open.
Mhm.
And that's where I sort of stand with it. Yeah,
Okay.
without going down the rabbit hole too much.
This is good. I mean, I think the more we can kind of flesh it out, the better it will be for me, you, and also who might watch this. So
Mm.
I'll give my view. It's coming about red pilled, and it's coming mainly from uh, what we could call the manosphere, I guess. Those men who comment about gender issues online. And so the way that I understand red pill is that it's recognizing for those men the fundamental nature of men and women, and not allowing um, the media or certain groups and whatnot to sort of pull the wool over our eyes about those fundamental roles. And so
That's a very good explanation. That is an
yeah.
excellent explanation. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've spent some time. So I'm not red pilled. Although I would like to think that I'm more aware maybe than my progressive friends. It's kind of weird. I'm in this weird space, right? So I do think that, at the core of it, there's differences between men and women, but I think it's so fluid until I don't really, if someone wants to say that men can do certain things and women can do, or men can do things that women can do, and women can do things that men can do, I'm cool with it, right? So, but even being just a little a little acknowledgement that there's fundamental differences between men and women really gets it gives me a lot of flack within my circle. So,
Okay.
but that it is what it is. Okay, so all right, being aware, but maybe this is where you and I might differ a little bit, because I can see how, there are certain roles in society, right? Where you got the protector and you got the nurturer. And I do think those are stable. You need them. But I can see men doing both and I can see women doing both.
Agreed.
Okay. So, well, in that case, then, we're not that far apart then.
No,
at least
we're
when it
not.
comes to this. Yeah.
We're not, because I've got a few male friends that are actually have been stay-at-home dads purely because that's just the way their dynamic. I think it's really terrible of anybody to criticize two people's dynamic and what they're into. You can get a submissive male and a more dominant female, and they will work in harmony. It's just that me personally, I'm into the more dominant, assertive leader male, and I'm the submissive female that comes in to support the male, and vice versa. So, but I absolutely respect that there are two, different, totally, people live their lives differently. And I guess I'm a little bit more extreme, I'll admit that. Definitely more extreme in my ways than many of my personal friends. My views are very controversial, and I accept that,
Well, good. That's good on you. I mean, I tend to say things that people don't necessarily agree with either. And I know the flack is coming, but I gotta speak my truth, for lack of a better word, So respectfully though, I mean, I think there's a space for respecting other people, and doing it respectfully, but also, expressing yourself fully. So yeah, no, I agree with that. You mentioned the court system, and maybe it's the same in the UK as it is in the US. So I haven't looked at any data on this. I don't know. So, but there's a sense. So I won't speak from that angle. I'll speak from perceptions of people. And there's a sense among a lot of men that the court system, the family court system, is unfair to them. And I mean, but what makes it unfair?
This is a really good question. So I don't know if you know that I was a father's rights activist for 6 years. And
no,
so, yes, I've worked tirelessly in the father's rights. I had to step away because it was 6 years of, I didn't ask for any money. I did it purely because I was passionate about helping these guys, and actually on both sides of the pond, in your country and in mine. So I know it's pretty much the same, actually a little bit worse in your country, actually. So that the rights are not there for the dads, and it's automatically assumed that a woman is a better parent because she is the nurturer, she is the female. And we know that that's, anyone with half a brain really knows that isn't always the case. You can get mothers that don't, they're just not very good. They're not a good parent, or they're not the better parent. But also this perception that children don't need their fathers is utter rubbish, because studying Warren Farrell and various other people, actually, I get criticized for saying this, but out of both genders, if push came to shove, for a child to develop fully and properly, emotionally, mentally, etc., it actually would be a father that would do that job better. And now, I'm a woman saying this.
I mean, I can follow I've seen this notion that it seems as if people think children don't need fathers, like fathers are optional and mothers are essential. I've seen that. I kind of push back against that for personal reasons, and also just hearing things, you know, from other people. I,
Yeah,
I grew up in an environment where it wasn't a lot of guys around, and I thought that was not a good thing. You know,
you're
I
right.
think that I missed a lot by not having a lot of father figures around. My mother and father split, I guess when I was 10, and it happened in like three or four other to my aunts. So there came a time when I was like 15, 16, 17 with no guys of authority
Yeah.
in my family. They were scattered about, and I don't think that was a good thing. So
Well,
okay,
you
I
turned
followed
out
that.
very well.
Follow that.
So
Say again.
you turned out very well. So, you know,
That's up to debate.
well,
But
I
I
mean, you know,
appreciate it.
you're not a psychopath. So, I so I think what it is just quickly to add to what I was saying was it's all
Mhm.
about money, Rod. It's all about money, and men are ATMs. Men will always generate more money than women, and essentially it benefits the family court system in the US as well as in the UK if men are on the back foot. You know how much money the courts and solicitors, what they call it, lawyers, how much they make from divorces and then custody arrangements, etc. So
Mhm.
that's why men will always be on the back foot, and that's what I've campaigned about for 6 years. And a lot's changed. A lot's changed. It's getting better.
Okay,
It's
for the
getting
positive.
better.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great, great. I want to before moving, I want to make sure. I'm actually following, this idea of and agree that
Yeah.
men are needed, and sometimes society thinks they're kind of disposable or optional. But I was not aware. But in my mind, I'm still thinking that the mother is needed the most. Like if I had to choose, it would be the mother. So that is new to me, and maybe I have to do more reading or understand, the
Mm.
rationale behind that. But it seems as, I mean, I'm watching my sister take care of her daughter now, and it just seems like it's so important that the mother is there in those early years.
Yes, I
So
agree. I
yeah.
agree. I think I'm a mother. I think it's very important. And however, women have changed. So what would have been at one time? I mean, I'm not talking of the masses. I don't have the I haven't studied it enough. It's not my expertise, my area. But I know that just looking and being red pilled and having my eyes open, Rod, that women have changed. And so not all, there's many women that do actually put other things over their own children. And that's why perhaps, in some cases that the father would be the better parent. And women have lost their way, the femininity's gone somewhat. And so a lot of women are behaving like men. So therefore, the children aren't getting what they need from their mums.
Okay, all right, fair enough. For those folks who don't know what a trad lifestyle is, can you explain?
Yes, there are different types of traditional females. There are biblical and there are the modern trad femmes. Essentially, the one thing that we share in common was the few things, but the one biggest thing is that we believe that the woman is to be at home in a traditional sense, and all of the roles within the home that are what I call pink jobs are left to the female. And she takes care of the home, the husband, and the children in that order. So in the order of husband, children, home. And we pride ourselves on pretty much how we keep the home, how we keep the children, and we alleviate the pressure from the husband or the boyfriend or the partner. The more serious traditional trad femmes that are more biblical, I'd say, they live very traditionally. in the sense that I know some that don't even wear makeup, or they even sort of live like a more 1940s lifestyle. That's slightly different. So we are all a bit different.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
my modern sort of girls that are with me, the modern trad femmes, we're very much into our makeup and what we wear, and being feminine with our nails and, you know, hair and etc. Not so much Stepford wives, but a little bit sort of, there's an edge of that there. And we are more submissive to our husbands, our men. But behind closed doors, you know, it is an equal relationship. It's just that the roles are much more defined. So, for example, it's late here in the UK and it's dark. If I was in a relationship and I had to take stuff out to the trash, I wouldn't do it until the more. If I was in a relationship, that would be his job. But because I'm not, I wait till the morning and I do it of a morning when it's light, because I don't feel that as a woman, I'm so deep into my femininity that I don't feel that that's a job that I should be doing.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. So my first thoughts are that I think in a lot of working class families, this is already the
Yeah.
case. Like it's
Yeah.
already the case that, okay, you take the trash out, you know, you mow the lawn, you know, and I'll do the cooking. So it's sort of an unstated cultural pattern that's been going on
Yeah.
for generations. That's the first thing. The second thing, though, is, okay, are you maybe intentionally and unnecessarily restricting yourself and also your partner by saying, okay, this is what I do and this is what you do?
No, because it makes for a better relationship. There's no arguments. So if obviously there's leeway, like also a lot of guys, like my dad cooks, my mum is not so much into cooking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's roles like that are pliable, you know. He'll be like, well, you can't cook, so I'll do the cooking, or whatever. But generally, let's stick to the more stricter sort of dynamics, where if there's so many more or less arguments because you know your roles. And if, let's say, my man's come home from work and he's then got to tidy up after a 15-hour day, and then he's got to cook dinner, and then I'm just sat on the sofa, there's going to be an argument because, well, A, that's wrong, and B, it's not fair on him, on you know, on the relationship, because that shouldn't really be. I've been here doing nothing all day, so it's my job to step up to the plate and do the things that make for a better relationship. So there's no, the arguments are very much non-existent. I mean, in my last relationship, we didn't argue at all. And I just think it gives you boundaries. Does that make sense?
It
Like,
does. It does. That's a way of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know that it's old-fashioned. Look, I do get it, and I'm heavily criticised for it, but it works for me, and it works for a lot of other women.
Yeah, I actually saw an article in The Guardian about this, where the author was saying that it's a growing, I believe, cultural phenomenon where you've got a lot of women who are actively embracing the trad life. And so that signals to me that although there's going to be people who are more progressive and they are looking at more gender fluid roles and they want that, there's still going to be people, or there still are people, who want to go the other direction and be more traditional in their gender roles, which I think
Yes,
it should be that way. People should be able to choose what fits them.
yes, yeah, absolutely. I honestly feel that if you're a man that is perhaps in a role at work, well, it doesn't matter actually what you do for a living. It's more if you feel very strongly in your masculine, and you feel that, you know, you're more suited to a female that will embrace these types of roles, and she feels the same about you. I think it's a really beautiful dynamic. And then, you know, the same for a guy that is more submissive and a woman that's more dominant, whatever. Whatever way you want to look at it, I think it works. And the traditionalism that's coming in, I will say that I don't think many people stick it out. I've been on Tumblr for about 9 years now, and I've seen the trad femme movement, people come and go from it a lot. And I think a lot of that is because young girls in their 20s come in and they think that it's all so rosy. And then when they actually do get to the whole staying at home with the children, the cleaning, the hard work that it takes, you know, their blogs are shut down, they don't stick to it. And that's absolutely okay. It's not easy. Being a trad is not easy. It's hard work. It's harder than going to work, I would say, because
Okay,
you're
first,
always on your A game.
I see. You know what? Thank you for your honesty. Because I mean, a person could have been talking to me and they would have said, "Oh, it's great. This is this, all good. You know, more people should do this." And you're being more realistic in saying that it's not for everybody. And I think that's really good. I appreciate that honesty. I think one of the reasons why it might be hard is because that's a minority lifestyle.
Yes.
And, you know, if this was 1940 and all of your other friends were also staying at home, and maybe the economy was such where you didn't have to work and there was no expectations of working, you're not talking to other people who are working, then women, I'm saying, then it might work. People may say, okay, great, you know, but not in 2022. It's kind of hard. Yeah, I think so.
There's one other thing that came to mind, and there's a couple of gorgeous women that I know in the States that I know from Twitter, because like you, I'm more prevalent on Twitter. And oh my God, they're so lovely. And this little community that we've got. Now, over here, we don't really vary because we're a small country, but over where you guys are, they're out in a certain area where she will go out hunting. Both of these women that I can think of off the top of my head, they go out hunting and their husbands shoot the animals and then sling the deer over the shoulder and slam it on the kitchen table, and she's there carving the animal up like proper old school kind of stuff. And that really is another sort of pocket of trad femmes that are that's really quite traditional, I guess, isn't it? And she will literally spend, you know, the next week chopping that animal up and then freezing it and thinking of things to make sausages or, you know, food for the year for their families. I find that really interesting because I'm in a city, and so I kind of don't really live like that. But it's just another example of a traditional female.
Yeah, and in those spaces, you'll get more rigid gender roles because they're needed. I mean, if this 100 years ago and you're out on the frontier, then you're going to try and maximize the man's upper body strength, you know, go out and hunt and whatnot, and then you'll maximize whatever it is that the woman is doing, nurturing, taking care. Also, less risk averse, more attention to detail. I mean, I'm talking in generalities here, so that isn't always the case. But that's kind of what I've seen. Guys can be a little, you know, they'll take a lot of risks and not think about preparing, you know, and women.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, let me so you mentioned some things that I maybe is not clear to me and people who may be watching. You've said in your femininity and in your masculinity. Okay, I want to be in my masculinity. What does that mean? You know?
I mean, that would be your journey. That's
I'm just saying an example, a person, you know, how do they get in their masculinity or femininity?
Yeah, it's a journey. So I think I guess for the guys, it's more, again, this is not my area. For the men, I would never speak on behalf of the men, but just off the top of my head, it's feeling very, you know who you are, like you feel in your power, because I know that's how it is for femininity. So you don't take any crap off anyone. You are a leader, perhaps dominant. I mean, I use that word probably too much, but I'm, more of a leadership role. I see as very masculine. I don't know. I think it's hard to answer that for the guys.
Okay.
I can definitely answer it for the feminine side. But I do know it's a journey, and I know that a lot of men actually study day in, day out, to learn how to be in their masculine. A lot of them pay for it too.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen those kind of coaches on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. No, I didn't mean, so I didn't mean specifically me. I shouldn't have started that way. I just mean, what does it mean to be in one of these things? And I think you kind of answered it by saying, okay, it's kind of a personal journey. So for a woman or a man, it would be a personal journey. But like, is it something that you can identify and move towards? Like, this is what it means to be in my femininity.
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's an amazing question. All I know is that I know that I was born this way in terms of, I was doing stupid stuff like cooking and cleaning at 4 or 5. Like, I didn't have to do it. I just did it. I loved doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've always been quite a submissive female and respectful of both genders, but definitely the men. And I guess for the masculine side, it would be, I don't know, because there's a little bit of a sexual connotation to it as well, I think. Primal. I mean, when I say sexual, I mean the word primal, and I don't know how that word feels to you and what you think of when you hear that word, but to me, I associate masculinity and primal quite closely.
Okay. So would that be, I guess we got to kind of flesh that out a little bit. So does that mean that men are more aggressive sexually, or just aggressive in general? More combative?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. Primal in very back down to nature. So when I think of the first image that comes into my mind when I think of the word masculine and feminine, I think of a lion and a lioness in the jungle. I think of the lion laying on the grass and the female nestling up to him, and or the beautiful image that I always think of is where you've got a wolf, and the wolf and his assailant is, his opponent, his assailant is coming up to him, and the female comes under and she protects. It looks like he's protecting her, but actually she's protecting him because she's coming under his throat so that the assailant can't get to him. Does that make sense? So masculinity is, I'm finding it hard to find the words.
Yeah, well, it's hard. I mean, how often do we try to put that into words? I mean, it's not easy. So yes, I understand, but I appreciate you kind of grappling with it in real time. So that's nice of you.
I do. Sometimes I'm better at writing than I am at talking.
I see. Me too, actually. Even though I like to do both, I think I'm a little better with the writing. Okay. What are your hobbies?
Cooking and interior design. I love cooking, as you can see from my videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love making a home look beautiful. Like if someone said to me, if a single guy came to me and said, I've bought this amazing apartment, house, whatever, could you come in and help me like make it look like a home? That would literally, I would be ecstatic to do that. And then I'm very simple. Like Rod, I'm so simple. I like the simple things in life. I like being with people that I'm very close to and talking and putting the worlds to rights, doing this sort of interaction. I love interacting with people that share like-minded views, and people watching in a cafe. I could sit in a cafe and drink wine and have a bit of food and watch people all day. And that would be Charlotte in a happy place.
Okay. Wow. And okay, Charlotte, you seem like a great person. And I think you said you were single.
I am, yeah.
You need to find a trad dating app. Do they have those? And then you can go and,
Unfortunately not. And the thing is, I think, yeah, there's a hard one, because all the guys that I think I would be suited to are in America. So yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that is tough. Yeah.
There's not that many red pill guys here.
Yeah, especially if you say it. So the thing about it is there's a lot of negative connotations to this notion of being red pilled. And I think if you, I mean, for example, I was going to live stream this, or we were going to live stream it. And I was a bit hesitant. I was going to do it anyway, because so many of my mutuals are progressive. In fact, almost all of them. And so they would see red pilled, and before listening to you or anything, they would have passed judgment and said, okay, this is trash, da, 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 da. And we probably would have gotten all that in the chat, and it would have been all messy. And so I think a lot of it is like, if you just said you wanted a guy, you know, a strong-willed macho guy or something like that, you know, people would go, oh, okay. But then when you say, I want a red-pilled guy, you're like, people would say, oh, wait a minute, what is this? This is some kind of, you know, right-wing crazy stuff here, right? So some of it could just be marketing or advertising, you know.
I don't know. I'm just drawn to men that are understanding of how the world has changed. And I like people that recognize that. I'm into traditional men. Like, obviously there's a similar age range, but if they can recognize that, God, you know, yeah, it's amazing, we're in 2022, but God, I kind of miss the nicer bits of when we grew up, and where, you know, women on social media, they're swearing, they're belittling their partners, and both ways. Look, you know, men are doing stuff too, but I'm always on the watch for the females because I'm a men's rights activist. So that's just how it is. But yeah, like the belittling of masculinity, I don't like it. I think that's got to stop. There's so many different things that I want someone to understand that, and that's what I'm looking for.
I see.
So it will take me a bit longer, I'm sure, but I'll wait. I'm patient. I'm a patient wolf.
I see. Hang out in the manosphere, and I'm sure you'll find some. Okay, let's wrap this up. This has been really fun. I've learned a lot, and I always appreciate when a guest will take the time to talk with me. What's next for Charlotte D?
Growing my little business from home and carrying on promoting being a trad femme and femininity.
Okay, what's the business, if you want to tell us?
Yeah, I'm a private, almost like a private chef. So it's cooking, and yeah, I'm going towards that whole, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Charlotte, thank you very much.
Thank you.